Hi everyone and welcome back to Googie's Kitchen. My name's Alexis and today I want to show you how to make my dad's delicious homemade cottage pie. So today I want to show you how to make my dad's delicious shepherd's pie recipe. But before I do, the first thing I have to apologise for is the lighting. There is a storm going on outside and unfortunately it's a really grey and cloudy day, so I've had to turn the lights on today. I know it's not perfect, but I hope you'll bear with me. So on to my dad's shepherd's pie recipe, and my dad and I both believe in food that's really easy to make but is really tasty. So this is one of those dishes and it's in my new cookbook, Gifts from Grandpa, which is available to buy on Amazon, and I will link that in the description box below for you. Yes, my dad and I both love really hearty meals, and this is one of those, and it's really easy to do, as I said, and it does take a long time to chop up the vegetables, and it does take a little bit of effort to cook as well, I have to admit, but once it's cooked, it is well worth the effort. And we're going to be having this for our lunch today, so I thought I'd share it with you. So here is how to make my dad's delicious shepherd's pie. So for this recipe you are going to need 500 grams of minced beef. You're also going to need 1 onion sliced and chopped as well, and you're also going to need 2 carrots peeled and chopped, 1 courgette peeled and chopped. You're going to need a red pepper sliced as well, core removed, and the green stalk as well. And then you're going to need to peel a butternut squash and chop that into 1 centimetre cubes. So small cubes basically. And you're also going to need some green beans as well for this recipe. And you're going to need 1 tablespoon of tomato puree. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of brown rice flour. If you can't get brown rice flour, then you can use corn flour as well. And then you're also going to need 1 teaspoon of dried mixed herbs as well. That gives it some really lovely flavour, I have to say. And then you're also going to need 500 mils of vegetable stock or bone broth as well. And then finally you're also going to need about 600 to 800 grams of potato. I've used Marius Pipers here because I think they're the best potatoes for making mash with. And you'll also need some salt and pepper to taste. And for the potatoes you're also going to need some butter and some milk, but I'll show you that when I get to the potato part. The first thing I'm going to do is pop a baking tray into the oven, and then I'm going to preheat the oven to 180 degrees. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my saucepan onto a high heat on the hob, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of oil to the base of the pan. And then I'm going to spread the oil around the base of the pan with a plastic brush, like so. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that to heat up. So the oil has started to sizzle in the bottom of the pan, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my onion now. I'm just going to continue to stir this around the base of the pan until the onion becomes soft, see-through, translucent, basically until it starts to soften really. So as you can see, the onion has just started to soften now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my minced beef, and I'm going to begin to fry this until it becomes a lovely brown colour now. As I said, this recipe is in my cookbook, Gifts from Grandpa, along with 50 other recipes as well. So it's not just savoury recipes, there are desserts in there are cakes and biscuits. There's also a section for soups, starters and salads as well. And there's a section for roast dinners too. So it's got lots of different recipes in it, and they're all yummy and all delicious. I honestly do believe that. Yeah, so please go check it out. I will, as I said earlier, I will link it in the description box below for you too. So, I don't know if you can see, but the minced beef has started to go a lovely brown colour now. So I'm going to add in all of my vegetables to the pot now, which is probably going to fill it, I know, but I'm going to try and now stir these round and just get a bit of heat through them. Once I get the heat through them, I'll start adding the rest of the ingredients. But you just want to get a bit of heat into these first, so they start to cook and soften once they go in the oven. I'm going to add my green beans in as well at this point too. Starting to smell really delicious, I have to say. I do love the smell of a shepherd's pie. It does remind me of my father. It was one of his favourite dishes to cook, although he would have called this, a cottage pie perhaps, and I would have called it, I can't remember, but there was some little disagreement that we used to have about this. Cottage pie is made with minced beef and shepherd's pie is made with minced lamb. So this is actually a cottage pie. There you go. I've been saying shepherd's pie the whole way through and it's actually a cottage pie. I think, yeah, I'll stop talking now. So now I'm going to add in my brown rice flour and I'm just going to sprinkle this over the top of everything and stir it in until almost all of the ingredients are covered in it. So I'm just going to keep stirring this now. Perfect. And then I'm also going to sprinkle in my dried mixed herbs as well. Sprinkle those in. And then once that's done, I'm then going to add in my chicken stock or my beef stock. Vegetable stock or bone broth. Yeah. I think I've used chicken stock today because that's all I had in my freezer, but the recipe does say bone broth or vegetable stock, so you can use either of those, or you can use chicken stock if you want to as well. It all makes it taste really nice at the end of the day, so that's what counts, isn't it, really? So yes, I'm just going to stir these in, and then finally I'm going to add my tablespoon of tomato puree as well, and then I'm just going to bring all of these ingredients to the boil, and then I'll leave them to simmer for a little while on the hob. But yes, I'm just going to bring this to the boil now. So this is boiling away nicely now. So what I'm going to do is just turn my heat down and I'll leave this to simmer for a little while. So I've put a pan of boiling water on a high heat and I'm just bringing it to the boil in the pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the potatoes to that pan. And then, I'm going to let this come to the boil again. And then I'm going to leave this to simmer for about 10 minutes on this heat. So I'll turn the heat down and leave it to simmer. And I'm also going to add a little bit of salt to this pan as well. And I'll probably add, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the filling, which is on the other side of this hob, which you can't see, but I've just added a bit of salt to the filling as well, and I'll add a bit of pepper in a moment too. So I'm just going to bring this to the boil and then leave it to simmer now. So I've left the potatoes to simmer for about 10 minutes, and if I can pick one up, no I can't now. I was able to a minute ago, I promise, but they are breaking up in the pan, which is a good sign. It means that they are actually cooked. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain them and then mash them. So I drained my mashed potatoes through a colander in the sink, and I'm just going to add a couple of knobs of butter to this and a little dash of milk as well. That's it, lovely. And then what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to mash these potatoes together now. I only use a little bit of milk because I find the mashed potato goes too soggy otherwise. Marius pipers, as I mentioned earlier, I think is a great potato for mash and for baking in the oven as well. And this also makes really great roast potatoes too. You can just use a baking potato if you want to, but I do like a Marius piper, I have to say. So yes, I'm just going to mash this together now. So finally, to my mashed potato, I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper again. And I have done a video on making mashed potato. I've done a beans, mash and sausage video, which I will link in the description box below for you, because making mashed potato is lovely, but if you don't want it lumpy, then you have to mash it quite a lot, and that's what that video explains. So yes, I will link that in the description box below. So I'm now going to put my shepherd's pie together. So I've got myself a slotted spoon, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spoon in the filling for the shepherd's pie into my preheated baking tray. Now this is a Pampered Chef stone baking tray. Pampered Chef unfortunately left the UK quite a few years ago now, but I'm sure if you have a look you'll probably be able to find something similar online. And the great thing about stoneware is it takes out all of the badness from the food and leaves the goodness. I mention this a lot in my videos, but I really do like stoneware. I think it's such a great thing to cook on. It doesn't actually need washing either. I know that sounds quite disgusting, but what you do is you just pour hot water over the top once you've cooked with it, and it gets rid of all the badness as well. And then the stone becomes seasoned. So it basically, every time you cook with it, the food just gets tastier and tastier when you've cooked on this stone, because it's been seasoned. So yes, I do love my stoneware, I have to say. I'm trying to use this slotted spoon so I get a bit of gravy, but I actually think it's all going in to the pan at the moment. Oh no, I might be alright. I think I've got a little bit down the bottom. So yes, I just wanted to leave a little bit of gravy to pour on afterwards. So I've basically just put the filling in there, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the mashed potato in. I'm going to use this, I think, and I'm going to spread the mashed potato as evenly as I can across the base, the top of the cottage pie, I keep meaning to call it, and I keep calling it shepherd's pie. Sorry everybody, anybody who's British out there will probably be tutting at me right now, but yes, I'm going to try and spread this as evenly as I can now. That's my shepherd's pie done, and I'm going to put this into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until the top becomes nice and golden brown. So I've turned the oven off, and the shepherd's pie is lovely and golden brown now, as you can see, and the gravy from the outside of the pie has started to bubble over as well, which is also another sign that it's cooked. So I'm going to take this out of the oven now and then serve it with some beans. So that's how you make my dad's delicious homemade cottage pie, and as I mentioned earlier, that recipe is in my cookbook Gifts from Grandpa, which I will link in the description box below for you, and I'll also link the recipe in the description box below too. I'm going to eat this with some homemade baked beans this evening, and I'm really looking forward to that. I love shepherd's pie and baked beans. I think it's a perfect combination, and I have done a video on making my homemade baked beans, which I'll also link in the description box below too. So yes, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.